Good afternoon, everyone. Hey, thanks for joining us today for a special live chat where we just want to check in and talk about all the things, right? As you may have seen on the screen, we want to talk about what's happening in education and public education around us, around Chicago, and then also more broadly across the state of Illinois. So it is a Friday afternoon or approaching Friday afternoon. The last Friday in September, there was a recent Chicago Board of Education meeting. So, in addition to talking about what's generally happening in education and how we're experiencing this current school year, we're going to do a recap of that board meeting and then also talk about the upcoming elected school board process to elect Chicago's first ever elected school board. So thanks for joining us. I'm Natasha. Um, I am joined by Kendra and Marion here. So we thought with so much going on right now in education, one of the things that we wanted to do today as a sort of an introduction and a grounding is just to talk about our own K through 12 experience. And because there's so much discourse happening right now around the state of our K through 12 schools, the work that needs to happen in order to ensure that all of our children, Chicago's children, particularly those who've been the furthest from opportunity, have a fair chance to get a quality, fully funded and resourced education and school environment. So we'll talk about how we are experiencing that as our opening for today. So I'll go first and then pass it over to y'all in the room. Yeah, K through 12 experience, K through 8. Or the first half of K through 8 was at O'Toole. Grew up in what's now called West Inglewood, and then second half of 8th grade was at Esmond in Morgan Park neighborhood, and then high schools were Morgan Park and Corliss. In the those schools in the mid to late 80s into the mid 90s was a peculiar time in the city. So a lot of that experience is what I carried. And then to being a CPS mom, my daughter graduated in 2021. So that's my K through 12 journey. And so, as a community member, I'm experiencing just a lot of turbulence in public education. So, uh, definitely want to land on just being a forever parent organizer. And what I'm hearing from folks is, just really reason to be more connected as a education movement, so that our children, so that we don't have process gaps, given all of the chaos that seems to or crises that seem to be existing around us. So, um, yeah, I'll land there. Pass it over to you, Kendra.
Hey, yes, I'm Kendra. Raise your hands, parent organizer. And my K through 12 experience, I grew up in Auburn Gresham, so I was a student at Harvard up until sixth grade, and then I went to Diet when Diet was a middle school, and I finished there, and I went to Lynn Bloom, swoop swoop. Um, and my experience in those schools, I think going through it, it was like I can't speak for my mom, but I don't know like the how she felt about things, but um, I felt like it was a good experience, especially high school. But going through and being a mom now, a mom of many and a grandmother, I'm learning that many things haven't changed, and as an adult, it's a problem. So, kids are not like what we were. They're more vocal. They recognize things way different than we seen them back in the day. And yeah, my experience, like I said, is it was a good experience from a kid's point of view. But if I had to be an adult, I don't think I'll have the same outlook on it. And I'll land there. Mhm.
Hi, I'm Marion. I am the development associate here. My K through 12 experience is a mixture of private school and public school. From K through 8, I went to private school, Visitation Catholic School, a proud Viz kid. And for high school, I attended Simeon Career Academy. Um, my experience at CPS, oh, my experience at CPS was interesting. I don't I didn't feel as though I was getting as quality of an education that I received going to private school. I do have a child that is currently enrolled in CPS, a CPS high school that matriculated from charter school. So we both never had any public school experience as students until high school. And from the parent perspective, there was much more intentional parent engagement to pull in parents and parent engagement and involvement when he was in charter, as opposed to now being a CPS parent. And when I asked about when are the LSC meetings, it's just like put a target on your back as though you're a problem parent, and I just want to be an informed, engaged, and activated, involved parent because that's just the type of parent that I am. So that's my experience.
I think I left out was just thinking about when I said about the parent, being a parent now and seeing like it's not a lot of change. Being a parent and also being a community person and being a parent organizer, um, things that's like you speaking on as far as the environment has changed so much. And I remember back when, not gonna tell my age, but when my older kids were in school and I was a parent volunteer, I met a lot of my friends to this day being a parent volunteer. And, we were the parents that were in the school that were helping in the lunchrooms and helping and doing all those things, making copies. And if the teacher needed a bathroom break, we could stand in. And like those things you do not see in the schools anymore. And I think that adds to a lot of the things, the disconnect going on with the schools and administration and even like the board. So yeah, sorry to have that, but
No.
No, you're on point. I think there's a lot. We all want the same thing, right? Like I know we do. I believe we have process gaps, communication gaps, and a real need to be organized. Um, and so attending, listening in on whether it's the board meeting or when we attend LSC meetings or when folks reach out and it's like, hey, let's talk through some stuff. I mean, it really takes me back to like what I learned from being on the LSC is it's important to know. And I know it's, on some regard, it's like, not everyone has the capacity to consume all the policies and all the laws, but how can we work together, support each other so that when we go through these things like challenging the systems that are stubborn, right, that keep us from getting what our children need, like what levers can we use? And I see LSCs as being like the strongest component because that's my experience. It's like, hey, we had an issue with an administrator. We worked where we could with the district, but we understood our power that was backed by policy in the school code. And, there's a spectrum of things that I think we also hear from parents is not fully feeling supported. That was also an experience that has been resonating with me is, there's this notion that, raise your hand is, sticking, our finger in, schools. And it's like, it's not even that. It's that parents reach out and saying, hey, we've exhausted a lot of the chain of command. within the district, we don't feel supported. Can you help us? Like, they're not coming to us and we're like, hey, let's, whatever. They're coming to us out of desperation that they've tried the things, they called all the numbers, they sent all the emails. And nevertheless, the conditions for their children are, they find themselves in a challenging situation. So, that's, from my experience of this school year, it's like there's a lot of things, like even outside of, you know, um, just thinking of it more broadly from observing the things that need to be tightened. A lot of it is around the local school council support. And that's what we've been hearing a lot from members in the last coming months. Kendra, I know you've been hearing a lot of that more directly. You want to talk a little bit about, with specifics on what that's, what's been coming up for folks.
So coming up is the main thing. Some schools have gotten better with posting the LSC meetings on the CPS website. The problem with that is those dates are not accurate. You can go and go to a school thinking, just as a community person, that you're going to attend a meeting and there's nothing going on. And when asked, it was like, well, they changed it. And so if they post it, they're definitely not posting updates. That's a thing. I think a lot of the biggest things is with the LSC, and I hate to say this out loud, is about, it's almost embarrassing to still say about the lack of training that's going on, that people don't know in those meetings that's happening, like the way that meetings should flow, and that the disconnect between the administration and the council, or the chairperson and the council, and the picks of who is who in the schools is still becoming a thing. And it always just brings me back on the lack of training that I had years ago, and those things just seem normal, and they're not. It shouldn't be like that. It's a policy, and it's things put in place because of that. It's module trainings and all those things in place because it's rules to this thing. And a lot of the schools I'm noticing are doing whatever they want to do. If I can be honest, that's the major thing that's going on. Just with the like I said, about not knowing when the meetings are, who to contact. Like, we don't even know in my school, and I'm fully trained, but I don't know how to contact my LSC members. And I'm sitting on no email info, no phone number. Like, if I had a question, if I wanted something added to the agenda, all these things, like, those are things that's not happening at my my own on my own council. And I know better, and I know it should be different. So yeah, just thinking about the things that I'm hearing as far as that. But it's so much, and again, it's like the same things, going into this year, going into a new elected, the people on the LSCs were newly elected this year, just with the host of, with the mindset of thinking how things would get better, because from what was presented to us, that it would be different, and it's not. So yeah, I think I would expect the parents, because of the parents that don't know, it brings me to thinking about the vacancies. I know that y'all hear us talk about this every time that we come on, we talk about the LSC vacancies. And because I feel like it's a very important thing that you should know. We should know about filling those vacancies, filling those, putting them some bodies in those seats. if you don't know how to do that, and again, we always say, you go to the CPS website for local school councils. You check your eligibility from your area. If there's a map, if you type in your address, it'll show you all the schools that, if you want to be a community member or if you're a parent at a school, you're always welcome. You see if there's any open seats. You 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 go, you check your eligibility, whether you're a parent rep or community rep. Um, Find an open seat. Always complete your packet. I don't know why I always forget this part, but you must complete an LSC packet. And then you attend an LSC meeting. Let them know that your packet has been complete and you are interested in joining your local school council. They are always, it has to be added to the agenda. I do want to also say that. So if you put it out there, you can ask to do a walk on. I think that's the word I'm looking for. The walk on for the LSC. We can show you how to apply for those seats, if you will. We can share a screen to show you how to do that. So you go to CPS, you go to LSC vacancies, you go to eligibility, and it will tell you, what you need to view the eligibility and the rules for being a member. And then as far as being a parent rep, a community rep, of course, the teacher, the principal is always a member, but you can be voted in as a parent rep or a community rep. Then you go to the map. And you find your open seat. And again, you can just type in an address and it will give you the schools that you can be a member. With the address we just typed. Yeah. And so if you can see that when it popped up, how the red shows the amount of vacancies that's there, and that's way too many. That's a lot. But again, like once you find the schools that you can be a member, like this school has 3 available seats. That's not accurate. They haven't updated the names yet. But yeah, so you go in, you go find a map, you see the open seats, and you fill out your packet, and then attend those LSC meetings. And if you attend those LSC meetings, then you can become a member and be a part of the change that you're looking for. Again, that website just goes straight to the site, to the LSC site, and you should be able to find that. Raise your hand. We offer LSC module training. So if you get on those seats, and you feel like things are not going, let me rewind that back. You can get LSC module trainings with myself and a few people on the team at Raise Your Hand. We have module trainings coming up in the October with in person and online, and you can decide. I'm saying all the wrong words. Those, if you will, those are the things that we do. We offer the LSC module trainings. Let me see. What else did I want to talk about as far as LSC? I just froze. My brain is just unlocking because I'm not looking at my notes. Oh, there is a new reference guide for LSC. And we can drop the link to that new reference guide in the chat for you all to pick up. I have not quite went over it myself, but I will do that in the days coming just to see what the new changes may have been. And also, Raise Your Hand offers LSC solidarity calls each month. October. We're gonna do a solidarity call October 10th at 5:30 p.m. And what the solidarity calls is just what it's saying. Like you get LSC members to come on. We talk about what's going on all the LSCs. We can offer advice or suggestions to other LSCs, and just be a community with your LSC members, fellow LSC members across the city. So again, that date is going to be October 10th at 5:30 p.m. and those links will come on our site and later today or in the next couple of days. Yeah, I think that's all I have on LSC stuff that's going on.
I'm excited to see the new reference guide be released. I know it's been a long time coming for an updated reference guide. So happy to see that is released. And we'll definitely drop the link to that in the chat. So those of you who are LSC members who have not, I think it should be in your email address or your email inbox. If you haven't already received that, dropping that link in the chat, you should see that pop up on Raise Your Hands Facebook and YouTube. All right. So I'm curious, Marion, I know you're also an LSC member. Jump in. I'm curious to hear a little bit about what your experience as a community rep is looking like, feeling like. Yeah.
It's like we don't even have it. We still haven't had, besides our organizational meeting, we haven't had enough people for a quorum since then. Yeah, so as a community member, I've tasked myself with inviting parents to join us at the LSC meeting and letting them know when our next LSC meeting is. So hopefully we get at least, even if we don't have quorum, right? Hopefully we can get at least 3 parents to show up to the meeting so that they can at least be aware of what the LSC is, what the LSC does, and hopefully they come in with questions about what does the LSC do, why is the LSC important, because I didn't know myself until I became a CPS parent. And so, yeah, that's my experience right now. I'm a community rep at one of the schools that struggles with vacancies, LSC vacancies. My experience attending LSC meetings as a parent for the LSC that I do not sit on is completely different. The LSC meetings that I've attended as a parent for the high school my child attends is it's always a quorum. It's always something, and it's very much principal centered sometimes, and I don't really like that. But it be the LSC in me, so they treat me like I'm an LSC member, but I'm not. And I like the freedom of not being an LSC member, where my child is, because I feel like with my really progressive self, that it would put a target on my son's back. So I'd have no desire to be on the LSC there. But that's all I have. And I'm really hoping that we get at least 3 parents to come to the LSC meeting, and just like, even if they come just to ask questions like, what is this? What y'all be doing in here? Like, is this every month? Like, I'm fingers crossed.
You can canvas.
I can't. They live in my building. I canvas them every day. So I'm really hoping for real that they show up.
Yeah, the parents. I mean, I think it's important when the parents that's not on the LSC attend, because you can freely give your point of view. Like I said, for years, I would not get on local school councils because I didn't have a complete understanding exactly of what they did. So I was one of the parents who would go and try to learn things and just being the involvement. But I feel like when parents start going to the LSC meetings, like that'll bring back that whole thing of being involved in the school, because you're there and you're present and your kid can see you. And like, kids love to see their mamas in the school. I know my kids did.
My son told me I might as well go to his school.
Yeah. When my older kids were in, I was definitely one of those parents that was always there. And that's why like I said, I wasn't on the LSC years ago, but I did attend those meetings. So yeah, the importance to me of the parents being there and bringing other parents in is to build that community back up, to gain some knowledge of what's actually going on in the school. Because who wants their kid going to a school and they don't know what's going on? Like, you literally don't know what's going on inside the school, and that's just not in a space I feel like parents want to be
in. Oh, that is so real. I remember just hearing you say that. I remember it was just where I was in like in my career, in my professional life, that I was like, oh, my kid goes to a good school. She's good to go. And I quickly learned when we transferred into CPS during her 7th grade year that, oh no, you have to, I felt compelled to go to the meetings and find out what was going on. How can I, participate? How can I help move things along? Just having capacity, given that I was in a time of transition professionally. So I was like, I could go to the meetings, whether they were during the day, what have you. And it was in that moment that I just, start organizing with other parents. Like, hey, when we show up to the meetings, people listen to us. If you have a group of parents show up to a meeting at the LSC meeting and speak during public comment, and we're saying the same things, that carries weight. So thinking about it strategically, like, we all want what our children need. We know that the LSC is a body that we can press to help make sure that happens, given the roles that LSC have. Let's go in there and say that we want more. And so when, we organized a school, where there were no parents at the LSC meeting, to where we needed an auditorium to host our LSC meetings, because parents were like, oh, I can do this. I, can show up and speak and, again, ask for what I know my child needs. And a lot can change in a school year when we're clear about that. So I'm proud of the work that we do, that you do, Kendra. Marion, as you are leading in your LSC capacity, I think that's dope. And, for the parents who are like, I hear y'all, I still don't know, reach out. Kendra's available to support you, go to those meetings with you, share some pointers, some pro tips, so that you don't, go at this alone. I mean, and that really segues to the next, piece under this, this pillar of our work under what, we, understand and organize around democracy is the upcoming elected school board, which is an opportunity for LSEs to build power, collective power with Chicago's first elected school board, where in November, on November 5th, I'll be specific, Tuesday, November 5th, the city will also vote on the ballot from the federal offices to the Chicago School Board members across 10 districts across the city of Chicago, so that in January of 2025, the city will have what's, otherwise known as a hybrid board. 10 of those members will be elected by you, the parent, the caregiver, the voter, and 11 of those positions, so it'll be a 21-person board, 11 of those will be appointed by the mayor. So essentially it's 10 elected, 10 appointed, plus the mayor has opportunity to appoint a president. I should have said this to be a little bit more clear. 10 elected across the 10 districts. The mayor will also appoint 10 across those 10 districts, and then the president can be appointed from a citywide without respective to the districts, a president. So the mayor will have 11 seats to appoint. And so in January, they'll become a 21-person board who will hold a lot of decision, around the future of Chicago. So, we're really into this mode where we're saying the future of education in Chicago is on the ballot on November 5th. I'm really excited and really proud about our work to continue from the decade-long push from getting the referendum for an elected school board on the ballot, canvassing the community, the city, parents, all of you all who are joining us, whether you're live with us today or going to watch us on the replay, who've been a part of that community-based push towards an elected representative school board. So we just recently held a forum at Englewood STEM on Saturday, September 21st. And it was powerful to see the community that came out, that engaged with us. Kendra, Marion, I'm curious, do you want to share maybe a quick impromptu reflection from Saturday's forum?
I can. Well, yeah, powerful with meeting the representatives in person is kind of what's important to me. We have done Zooms with them, but for me to get a feel of people, because you can be anything online, and in person, whoever you want, and in person, you kind of get a feel of who you are voting for. And even if it's just for those 2 hours, you get a chance to hear them, to feel their vibe and those type of things. And I think that with that forum for Saturday, I got that sense of, especially in my district, of who I would like to see in that seat. One of the most important things to me is that we my biggest fear, especially being an LSC member, was that we would get someone who don't know anything about our communities, that wanted to sit in a seat because I guess it looked fancy sitting up there. But again, I don't. I personally, like I said, I would love to see them in the rooms with parents, with LSC members, with the community, knowing who you are representing, and hopefully that will give them a feel of what what's really needed, and not what everything I guess I want to say not be so political, because that's the thing. Like, I hear a lot of parents saying that they choosing politics over the schools. And that's a part of, although we know we have to vote for them politically and all those things, but it's a thing where we, like I said, I want the feel. I want to see you. I want to see your face. I don't want to just see you online to show up to say, raise your hand, did this, hosted this virtual Zoom, and then we have all of these candidates pop on. And then when they see us in public, you've seen me 10 times on a Zoom and you don't know who I am if you walk past me. Like, that's a problem. So to get a feel of people, to know like the vibes that they have with our communities is very, very important to me. And I think showing up at those forums, the parents that we had there were able to ask questions to get the same things that I was looking for. I kind of fell back and let them have it because we have had these conversations with the candidates. But again, I always want to let it be known that Raise Your Hand does not endorse or oppose any candidates. Everybody is open to us, but as a Kendra, I have my feel on who I like and those type, or who I got that sense of. And the funny thing is, the one person that I had a great feel about online, I honestly did not feel that way in person. And it was like, dang. So yeah, that's just my outlook on that. Yeah.
I like the intimate space that it creates for you to personally interact with candidates. I love to see more people there, whoever's watching, share our lives, so that we, shameless plug, so that we can spread information and awareness around the forums, because the space is so just vibrant and welcoming, and the candidates want to interact with the constituents. They want you to ask them questions. They want to clear up anything that they feel is floating around about them that's false. And it gives you a better understanding of the character of the person when you meet them in person. Yeah, the forum was pretty cool. I love the question around where folks got their money from. The candidates' faces and reactions were priceless. And to hear who people's largest donors were and who they were endorsed by and all of that was dope. But especially hearing where they get their money from.
You keep saying that.
Baby, because that was a question, honey. That was the question of the day.
Yeah, it was.
It was a question who came from, and I love that we pulled together a great event co-hosted with our comrades at Teamwork Inglewood, at Inglewood CAC, right? Mr. Dad's Father's Club. And out of that was born that question, like, why are you running to represent us? What are your contradictions? So we know how to handle you straight up. And so whether we want to acknowledge that or not, a school board election is new to us, but politics is not. So, what I think came out of those meetings was the need to read the room, and make sure that those who, whether they grew here or they flew here, that they understand what the people need, what the conditions are, and are deeply rooted to accountability and transparency when they take that seat. So for that, I really appreciated the forum. I'm looking forward to the forum that we're co-hosting tomorrow at the Akarama Community Center. So that's Saturday, September 28th at 3 p.m. at the Akarama Center. We'll, invite you to check our social media, where we have graphics for the event, as well as a link to register for tomorrow to hear from districts 6, 9, and 10. Largely covering the South Side from the South Loop, or as folks call it, the near South Side, encompassing Inglewood, Beverly, Roseland, the Gardens, like you name it, the greater South Side to the Indiana South, border. So come to the forum if you haven't already registered. It'd be a good opportunity to hear from the candidates who are telling us their plans, what they, see as a priority. It's an opportunity to push these candidates. Many of them are new to this space. Let's be real. What we noticed on Saturday is that a lot of it was obvious of folks who aren't, who perhaps aren't on LSCs and aren't tapped into the conditions that exist, right? So it's a good opportunity to push, to ask questions. So I'm excited about that opportunity. And then next week, Saturday, so Saturday, October 5th, we will have a candidate forum for districts 2 and 4. We're going to be hosting that at Lane Tech College Prep. I should say Lane Tech College Prep. But we're going to be hosting that at Lane Tech High School. That's at 2501 West Addison. We'll be dropping a link in the chat for you to register to attend. Again, that's going to be Saturday, October 5th for districts 2 and 4 from 11:30 a.m. Till around 2. An opportunity is built into the schedule for you to hear from candidates, for you to ask questions. So there'll be moderator questions, public questions, and then an opportunity for a meet and greet. So come out and join us for that. And then the very next day, if you are in districts 1 and 3, on Sunday, October 6th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., we're going to be at Steinmetz College Prep, and that's at 3030 North Mobile Avenue. Again, districts 1 and 3. And again, we'll drop a link in the chat here in just a couple of moments for you to join us to hear from candidates running to represent you in those communities. Listen, a lot of times the folks who are most connected to the candidates show up to the forums. It's important for the general public with questions for students who are experiencing classrooms and hallways this year currently, for alums to come in and tap into the space to ask questions, and make sure that candidates go into the seat, into the elected process with what they need to know to grow and develop our schools. So I will land there in terms of what we have. Oh, and then I should just say the last district, what we really have been trying to land a lot of logistics. We're looking for possibly hosting a virtual session for districts 5, 7, and 8. And as you all know, whether they are candidates on the ballot, we're also including write-in candidates to the forum. So it's been a bit of a programming challenge to really get all of these forums, scheduled. Really excited for the candidates who have been able to commit. And so for 5, 7, and 8, we may have a combination of virtual sessions for those 3 districts as you can expect. Their calendars are really challenging given how close we are to the elections. And then I'll land with this point. We have 4 deputy registrars on staff, 2 of which are in the office there today. Kendra and Marion are both deputy registrars. We are able to help register the community for the upcoming general election. Kendra, Marion, do you want to talk a little bit about what that process looks like, what the deadlines are? Yeah, pass it over to you.
Oh, okay. It's a real simple process. It's a paper application. You fill it out. I can't think of the deadlines to have your application in, but for the sake of time, I'm saying have it in as soon as possible if you want to register to vote. However, on the day of, you can go to the super site downtown if you are not registered to vote. That's the only place you can go, and you can register to vote on site and cast your vote on that day. If you live in Inglewood, Woodlawn, and a plethora of other places, you've been seeing me for the past 2 years registering people to vote. It's my jam. It's my thing. Our votes are our voices, and we need to use them, especially for school board. Especially for school board. I'm saying what I'm saying. Especially for the school board. Please use your vote, which is your voice. Yeah. And I can't think of the deadline.
October 8th.
I want to say the 10th so bad. I knew that was wrong. October the 8th is the deadline to register to vote, to be able to vote at your local polling place according to your address. But again, you can register to vote the day of, but you have to go to the super site downtown, which I think is 69 West Washington. It's 69 West Washington. You can register to vote on site and still cast your vote that day.
Awesome. Thanks to our partnership with Operation Push for providing deputy registrar training for our staff. Again, so at all of our upcoming forums, we'll have the opportunity for voter registration, voter education. If there are, questions that you have about the process, who's eligible to vote, there is no shame if you have questions about, are you eligible despite perhaps a previous record? We can provide some on-hand ways to access the state information.
As long as you are not incarcerated and you live in the state of Illinois, when you step foot out the jail, you can vote.
That's it, period. So, oftentimes there's shame around that. And they're like, let's be clear, for a city, but absolutely just people who experience the overmass incarceration or the mass incarceration of and over policing of our communities. The result is that a lot of people you wouldn't even think have been, have experienced that system. So there's no shame, whether it's about this or running for a local school council. We've talked about this before, but one of the things that we, is in our idea garden to work towards is around ensuring that folks who have previous records can have, an expungement or at least access to be waived by exception, so that we can have more of the solid community members and parents who have been currently blocked to serve on LSCs, serve as mentors in their schools. So again, if you have questions around specifics, we have, can share links and drop those on our social media too, so that who can register. Very limited amount of folks should feel barred from registering to vote. One quick thing, and I guess we can land off this and go towards pivot to the quick recap of the board meeting, is on this ballot, there's going to be a lot of offices. I think there's over 70 judge retention or vote points on the ballot. After the judges, there's the elected school board. So, vote the entire ballot to get to the elected school board candidates for your district. All right, so we can land with the school board meeting that was held last night. Kendra, Marion, I want to land it over to you.
If I can give, I wasn't in person, but that was a lot. It was a lot said in that meeting last night. It's a whole lot. I think my biggest thing with it is the language that's used, and I will say the best way I can say is the tricky language. Kind of, if you're not a parent or community person that's really aligned with this work, you might be thrown off a little bit. And yeah, that's my biggest thing. Like yeah, I don't know, because I really want to. I watched every ounce of it last night from beginning to end. I even held on like so I wouldn't miss it when the close session. I mean, when the recess went in. So I still like I heard a lot. I'm one to have to like really review it again. I want to listen to it again and just to get them. Like I said, the language is really tricky. I don't agree with a lot of stuff that was said, but I won't address it until I really listen to it again. I'm gonna land there, and then Marion, you were in the room, so
Yeah, I was in person. The energy was chaotic. It was so much different, like energies flowing through the room. My overall take is the language used in the resolution that I think that was Pedro that wrote the resolution. Yeah. And that's all I really have, really, truly, honestly.
it's a lot.
Yeah, it was so much. I did though, outside of public comment, the OIG, their report on abuse was interesting, and it was kind of alarming to me actually that every year they have like they go into the school year with like 20 predatory teachers on their radar. This year they had 10, so like that was a good thing because it decreased, but we only like a month into the school year, and for it to be like 400 cases of abuse that's reported school year 2024. It was just a lot. The OIG report was the most interesting to me, actually, but it was a lot. Yeah. I mean, they talked about the CTU contract. Oh, the principal contracts, the principal and administration contracts. A lot of people are aware of the CTU contract, but I wasn't aware the principal contract was up for renewal until yesterday when the person spoke and they mentioned a bill. Hey, I ain't got my notes. HB 2887, I want to say it was. It's in my notes, but I don't want to speak too much on that until I go read it myself. And that they were urging the board to support them in Springfield for this bill. What else they talked about? It was just so much. It was so much. Yeah.
If I could just pop in and say, like, because of, like, speaking of, like you said, and myself as being parents and you being new, I'm not new to CPS. And it's still like, it's still a shocking. And I think I would, I feel like parents need to start tuning into these meetings.
What?
They do not. Like the parents, so many parents I know, I even sent like text messages and shared even on my social media that the meeting was happening. And I normally get a good play of things on my social media, but those type of things parents are not interacting with, and we really need to be. Because like I said, like the language and the things that's going on, if you're not in the building, like somehow, some way, you need to get yourself involved and in tune of what's going on. So I'm going to continue to encourage parents to even sign up to go speak in public.
And I'm gonna piggyback off that and say not just parents, but community members. Like everyone really should be going to these board members, especially parents, yes, but everyone really should be going, because the school down the street that you think just everyone everyone.
Yeah, I mean, even like the parents that we come in contact with, as Natasha was saying in the beginning, that people are saying how Raise Your Hand is putting their finger into things, and it's because like they are not getting, any responses on their own. These are the reasons that the parents need to go to these board meetings.
Sure.
At least tune in so you'll know. But I would really, really encourage our parents to at least try to make it to the board meeting.
And watch them votes, especially, I'm sorry, because this is my jam right here. But when the elected school board comes, watch how people vote. Like, because the person you vote for to represent you, especially with this being a new thing, when they get in office and it comes time for those resolutions, because what I noticed is everybody left out the public comment. No, a lot of people left out of public comment. Most people didn't stay for the actual board meeting and the resolutions to be read and those votes to come in. But when we actually have an elected school board, watch those votes and make sure that the person that you voted for to represent you is voting with alignment of what they campaigned on, the policies that they stood on when they were campaigning. And if they don't do what you want them to, don't vote them back in. Like, come to the forums, ask them questions so that you have a better understanding of where they stand with certain issues that you are having or foresee happening, within CPS. And when they get on that board, watch their votes. That's with anything. City council, watch their votes. Watch them votes, because them votes what matter the most when they in position. Watch how they vote and what they vote on, what policies they stand by, what policies they don't agree with. That's so important. It's so important for the overall landscape.
Yeah.
Watch them votes.
With that being said, I appreciate that, Marian, Natasha. We have came to our time today. We appreciate you all for coming out. Let's stay connected. I can always be reached at my email that is going across the screen right now, Kendra@ilraiseyourhand.org. Again, we appreciate you all tuning in with us this Friday. But it's teaching, and see you all soon.
And come to Raise a Glass so that we can continue to provide you with these wonderful live streams, candidate forums, LSE trainings, and things like that. You can email me for that. Dang, I should have put my email up there.